Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters don't look like monsters at all. Sometimes they look like victims. They look like a frightened young woman standing on a stranger's porch in the pouring rain. She is barefoot, she is shivering. She is covered in mud from head to toe. There is blood on her hands. And when she rolls up her sleeve, she reveals a wound that makes your stomach turn. Carved into the flesh of her forearm, in jagged, bleeding letters, is the word, boy. Imagine you are the dairy farmer who opened that door. You see this girl, she is tiny, she is sobbing. She tells you she has been assaulted. She tells you she barely escaped with her life. Your instinct is to help. Your instinct is to protect. You call 911. You think you are saving a survivor. But you don't know that the mud on her clothes isn't from running away. It's from holding someone down. You don't know that the blood on her hands isn't hers. It belongs to the gentle young man she just butchered in the backseat of her car. And you definitely don't know that the word carved into her arm wasn't put there by a sadistic attacker. It was put there by her asterisk. A mark of branding she inflicted on herself, without flinching, to sell the performance of a lifetime. This is the story of Ezra McCandless. It is a story of a modern-day gone girl who thought she could write her own script, direct her own tragedy, and star as the innocent victim. But in the courtroom, the script got flipped. Because while she was busy carving words into her skin, she forgot one thing: the mud doesn't lie. If you are fascinated by the psychology of manipulation and the moments when a perfect lie unravels under the pressure of the truth, please hit that subscribe ** button right now. You need to hear this story, because Ezra McCandless didn't just break a heart. She stopped one from beating, and then tried to convince the world she was the one bleeding. To understand the crime, we have to unmask the character. Ezra McCandless wasn't born Ezra. She was born Monica. But Monica was boring. Monica was from a small town. She reinvented herself. She moved to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She cut her hair short. She started dressing in a unique, artsy style. She changed her name to Ezra, a name that sounded cool, gender-neutral, modern. She wanted to be a main character. She was charismatic. People were drawn to her. She had a boyfriend, Jason Mengel. He was older, 33, a military medic. He was devoted to her. But Ezra liked attention. She liked chaos. She started hanging out at a local coffee shop. And there she met Alex Woodworth. Alex was the opposite of chaos. He was 24. He was a substitute teacher. He was a philosopher. He was the kind of guy who read books about ethics in his spare time. He wanted to be a professor. He was gentle, kind, and a little bit nerdy. He was a good guy. And to Ezra, he was a new toy. She started an affair with Alex. For a while, she played both men. She loved the drama. She loved being the center of a triangle. But eventually, the triangle collapsed. Jason found out. He was furious. Ezra, loving the spotlight, told Jason that she wanted to be with him *, not Alex. She told Jason she would end it. She would go to Alex and break it off once and for all. She painted herself as the confused girl caught between two loves. But Ezra had a darker problem. She had been lying to everyone about everything. She lied about being pregnant. She lied about being assaulted in the past. Her life was a web of fabrications designed to keep people feeling sorry for her. And now the walls were closing in. She decided she needed a reset. And in Ezra's mind, a reset didn't mean moving to a new town. It meant eliminating the person who knew too much. March 22, 2018. Ezra picked up Alex Woodworth in her Chevy Impala. She told him they were going for a drive to talk. Alex, sweet and trusting, got in the car. He probably thought they were going to discuss their relationship. He brought his journal. He was ready to have a deep conversation. They drove out of the city. They drove onto a remote, unpaved farm road. The mud was thick. It was early spring in Wisconsin. The ground was a slushy mess of melting snow and dirt. Ezra drove the car until it got stuck. The wheels spun. The car sank into the muck. We don't know exactly what words were exchanged in that car. But we know what happened next because of the forensic evidence. They were trapped in the middle of nowhere. Ezra didn't call a tow truck. She pulled out a knife. A jagged, serrated knife that her father had given her for protection. Alex Woodworth was trapped in the passenger seat. Ezra attacked him. This wasn't a quick lash out. She stabbed him in the neck. She stabbed him in the head. She stabbed him in the chest. 16 times. Alex fought. His hands were cut from trying to grab the blade. He managed to open the door. He tried to crawl out into the mud. But Ezra was relentless. She followed him. She finished him. And then silence. The car was stuck. A dead body was hanging out of the passenger door. Ezra was covered in blood. Most people would panic. They would run. Ezra McCandless did something else. She began to set the stage. She needed a story. Why was Alex dead? Why was she alive? She couldn't just say, "I killed him." She needed to be the victim. So she took the knife, or maybe a piece of glass. The details are blurry in her own memory, and she looked at her own arm. She needed a symbol, something that screamed hate crime, something that screamed deranged attacker. She carved the word boy, asterisk, into her left forearm. Think about the pain. Think about the steady hand required to mutilate yourself. Why boy? Perhaps she wanted to claim Alex was mocking her gender identity. Perhaps she thought it made him look like a misogynist. She sliced her own clothes. She rubbed mud into her hair. She kicked off her shoes to look more vulnerable. And then she started walking. She walked to the nearest farmhouse, crying, shaking, rehearsing her lines. He attacked me. He was crazy. I had to fight him off. The police took her to the hospital. They treated her wounds. They photographed the boy carving. At first they believed her. Why wouldn't they? She was tiny. Alex was a man. It looked like a clear case of self-defense against a violent ex-lover. But then the detectives sat her down for an interview. And the cracks began to show. Ezra's story was weird. She claimed amnesia. "I don't remember," she said over and over. "It's all a blur." But then she would remember details that helped her. She remembered Alex lunging at her. She remembered him being obsessed. But there was a problem. The detectives went to the crime scene. They saw the car. They saw the body. Alex Woodworth didn't look like an attacker. He looked like a victim who had been ambushed. His wounds were defensive. And the knife. It was found nearby. It didn't have Alex's fingerprints on the handle. It had Ezra. And the boy carving. The medical examiner looked at it. It was shallow. It was neat. It was in a location that was accessible to her right hand. It had all the hallmarks of a self-inflicted wound. Hesitation marks. The angle was wrong for an attacker facing her. The detectives pressed her. "Ezra, did you do this to yourself?" She denied it. She cried. She played the confused little girl card. But the detectives weren't buying it. They noticed something else. She seemed more concerned with her narrative than with the fact that Alex was dead. She asked about her boyfriend, Jason. She asked about her clothes. She didn't ask, "Is Alex okay?" because she knew he wasn't. The trial began in 2019. It was a spectacle. Ezra McCandless walked into the courtroom. She had changed her look again. Gone was the edgy, artistic Ezra. She wore pastel sweaters. She wore oversized glasses. She wore her hair in a soft, innocent style. She looked like a librarian. She looked like a child. It was the Jodi Arias makeover. She was trying to subconsciously signal to the jury, "I am harmless. I am sweet." She took the stand in her own defense. This is always a risky move. But Ezra thought she could charm the jury. She thought she could outsmart the prosecutor. She told a story about how Alex attacked her. She said he went crazy. He tried to rape her. She grabbed the knife in a panic. "I just swung it," she said. "I didn't know where I was hitting him." But the prosecution was ready. They brought up the boy carving. They asked her point blank, "Did Alex carve that?" Ezra faltered. She had to admit that maybe she did it, or maybe she didn't remember. Her story shifted. "I don't recall doing it, but I might have." The jury saw right through it. If you are fighting for your life against a rapist, do you stop to carve a word into your arm? No. Then came the mud evidence. The prosecution showed that Alex's body was found outside the car, hanging out of the door. But Ezra claimed the attack happened inside the car. The blood spatter didn't match her story. The mud on her shoes didn't match a frantic run. It matched a methodical walk. And then the motive. The prosecution painted a picture of a girl who loved attention. She wasn't scared of Alex. She was bored of him. She wanted to get rid of him to save her relationship with Jason. But she wanted to do it in a way that made her the victim so Jason would comfort her. She wanted to be the survivor of a tragedy, not the girlfriend who got dumped or the cheater who got caught. She killed for sympathy. In a desperate Hail Mary, Ezra tried to claim that the mud and disheveled clothes were because they were having rough sex before the attack. She tried to use Alex's journal, his philosophical writings about sex and death, against him. She tried to paint him as a sexual deviant who wanted to hurt her. It was a cruel attempt to smear the victim's name. But Alex's family testified. His friends testified. They described a gentle soul, a man who wouldn't hurt a fly. The jury looked at the sweet girl in the pastel sweater and saw a predator. The jury deliberated. Ezra sat at the defense table, drawing in a notebook, acting unbothered. When the verdict was read, the courtroom was silent. Guilty of first-degree, intentional homicide. Ezra's reaction was chilling. She smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a nervous, strange, almost duping delight smile. As if she still thought she was the main character in a movie, and this was just a plot twist. She didn't cry. She didn't look at Alex's family. She just existed. At the sentencing, the judge didn't hold back. He sentenced her to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 50 years. She will be an old woman before she breathes free air again. The judge talked about the boy carving. He called it what it was, a prop, a lie carved in blood. Ezra gave a statement. She still played the victim. "I am not the monster you think I am," she said. But nobody believed her anymore. The Gone Girl fantasy was over. The Ezra McCandless case is terrifying because it exploits our natural instinct to help. If we see a muddy, bleeding woman, we want to help her. Ezra weaponized that empathy. She weaponized the Me Too movement. She weaponized the idea of believing women. She used real trauma that other women suffer as a costume for her murder plot. And the carving. It shows a level of commitment to the lie that is almost impressive in its depravity. To hurt yourself, to physically scar yourself forever just to sell a story. That is the mark of a true psychopath. She was willing to bleed for her art, and her art was manipulation. Alex Woodworth wanted to be a philosopher. He wanted to understand the world. He drove into that field thinking he was helping a confused friend. He died because he was an extra in Ezra McCandless's twisted movie. Ezra thought she could carve her own truth. But truth isn't something you carve into your arm. Truth is what happens when the evidence speaks louder than the tears. This story makes me look at victim stories with a shiver down my spine. The level of manipulation here is next level. Do you think the boy carving was the moment she lost the jury, or was it the amnesia? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy courtroom stories where the evidence destroys the lies, please hit that asterisk like asterisk button and subscribe asterisk. I have a story coming next week about a man who blamed his sleepwalking for a murder, but his Fitbit proved he was wide awake and running. Stay safe, trust your gut, and remember, the loudest victim isn't always the innocent one.